Today is the day that one of the biggest announcements come. That's what Nicole said about what Kennedy is going to say today. Have you heard the new polls after the DNC? Have you seen what happened at the end of the DNC? This should show you exactly what the DNC is all about. Flubbing up things to fact that people, normal Americans, just don't get. Kamala had one of the shortest speeches of all time. And did you hear one thing about policy or just one thing about hate? It's all about making sure to hate Trump, but actually she didn't set forth really any agenda points because she knows her agendas most Americans won't go for. Today we're going to be discussing that. What takes place today? What big announcement comes? And then some also startling stories from all over the world. And it all deals with us. NATO movement, new weapon sales. There's a lot going on. Let's talk about it today. Hey guys, welcome to The Max. Thank you so very much for being here today. If you are new to our channel, great. I hope that you enjoy our content. If you do, give us a thumbs up. It sure does help us spread our message across this platform. If you like it, subscribe to our channel. Our goal is to grow our channel to be wise and understanding, also to help gain a common sense in this crazy world that we live in. A lot of times we talk about these stories, we talk about the sources. However, I don't want to be the one that's always giving you news. I want you to go and do your research and say, you know what, I understand where he's coming from. I see what this is, and this is a big deal no one's talking about. So that's kind of the whole point of what we talk about when we talk about prepping, homesteading, sustainable living, and also just knowing what's going on. So today let's talk about that. First thing, of course, is a big announcement coming today from RFK. Now, there's been rumblings that he's going to endorse Trump. I don't want to ever count the chickens before they hatch, but I hope that that is what takes place. I'm not a RFK fan. I've told you that. I think that he is a liberal. I really do. But he does have some phenomenal points. That's where I think, as conservative and someone who is wanting to seek wisdom, I don't believe that all the answers are just cut and dry to a point where Republicans have those answers. To be honest with you, there's a lot of things Republicans do I don't understand. I'm a conservative libertarian, so I think the deregulation and the talks about what he feels on the CIA and also HHS, I think those are valid points that as conservatives we need to embrace from RFK. So I'm anxious to hear what he has to say. I love the fact that Nicole Shanahan, who I'm not the biggest supporter of, however, she's a marketing genius and used to be a Democrat. I think it's kind of unique that she's come out and really pushed forth how this alternate way of helping Trump could be the keys to getting agendas passed that could benefit all America. So I think that's good. I think that unity and that coalescing is a very good thing. Now, there's a new poll that come out after the DNC, and it will blow your mind. Now, before the DNC, you saw Kamala was trending, doing well. I think people are starting to wake up that they've not heard any agenda points, and the ones that they've heard has been about over-taxation and the fact that they want to take more of your money to give to other people. That's been the only points that she's put forward. Cole Bessie later shared this. It says, Donald Trump now leads Kamala by 7 percentage points in the Poly Markets prediction, and also with the odds starting to trend in Trump's favor. Now, this is not some big deal. I mean, we knew this election would be close. But I think people are starting to realize if this is a meritocracy, meaning if this is a merit-based racing, Trump has put out tons of agendas that ultimately does benefit most Americans. As I told you, the four big things: economy, we need a better economy, we need to go back to a stronger economy. Of course, American pushing industry, understand that tariffs are okay everywhere else. Let's lower our taxes, let's tax overseas stuff to make sure that we are getting the benefits here, and then ultimately trying to keep the energy prices low, keep utilities low, and grocery prices low. When you start hitting some of those top things like security of the border and cities being secure, all those things that most people can coalesce around. Stay off of the stuff that's volatile, and let's talk about those four things. Those four things will matter when it comes to most Americans. So I think that he's been hammering that home. Also, the other side, the DNC, if you watched any of that, all it was just a Trump-hating event. It really did not have any merit, any basis to anything other than cheerleading Kamala for what? She's done nothing. I mean, actually, they didn't give her any kudos other than her going up in the ranks from California to the United States and all these records that she's breaking, but they had no policy. They said she was tough on the border. What? When? They said that she's going to bring grocery prices lower. She is the vice president right now. She was over the Inflation Reduction Act that didn't go anywhere. So I think that people are starting to wake up and say, you know what? I understand that you're seeing all this good stuff and you're cheerleading for her, but she's done nothing and she didn't even put forth any new policy. Now, before we go any further and talk a little bit more about the election and also the fact of some new headlines that no one's talking about, a word from our sponsor of today. Well, after seeing the market crash just a few weeks ago, major corrections, I did not even want to look at my monthly statements because I'm thinking I've worked so hard to have this money and all of a sudden to see it just go to nothing. What about the fact of cash, that it goes up and down? We feel like it's so much variation to it. Is cash really king? Then I think back, okay, what can I buy to make sure that I am keeping an appreciated value on something that I know will be good for me and give back to my family? Legacy. So then I come around to land. Let my friends at Land of Land Inc. help you. The premier wholesaler of land. Get your land quick. There's nothing like knowing you have a vacant piece of property or a real estate development where you can turn around and have hunting, fishing, or maybe the homestead that you've already wanted, commercial property you wanted to build. Land of Land gives you options, and then you can look at even auctions. They make the process so easy, even for first-time buyers. I want to make sure that I have something that I can pass down to my family. We talk about bartering goods and prepping goods all the time. Cash, I love having cash. But when I know that there's volatility in the market, I know that there's a lot of debt that's got to be covered for our government. I know that our dollar can be more at risk sometimes, especially in the kind of chaos that we're seeing across the world. One thing I know that they can't make more of is land. Check out the link below. Also, there's an interactive map. You can kind of click on what states you're looking at. Look at the auctions that's available in that area. This is a game changer when it comes to making sure that if you want to put your money up in something and you want to see that investment hold the value or raise, land may be the best option for you. Check out Land of Land Inc. Let them help you find the property of your dreams. By the way, you need to be purchasing land. Check out Land of Lands. Really good company. Now, let's go back to where we were just left off with Kamala. So no new agendas have been pushed. She did the shortest DN speech of all. You know, they built up the DNC that there was going to be some kind of surprise person coming and speaking, and Bush was talked about and all this. There was no surprise people other than more entertainers like Oprah and Steph Curry. And it's funny when multimillionaires and billionaires, literally multimillionaires, decamillionaires, 100 millionaires versus and billionaires and like Michelle with 4 multi-million-dollar homes, they're all talking about how America is struggling and that Democrats are for taking care of the small people. And everyone that spoke were literally quasi-millionaires or billionaires. Oprah talking about life unfair, she's a billionaire, one of the richest people in the world. So I think that falls on deaf ears. I actually think that most people are starting to wake up, and I think these polls show that. Now, a few more stories that I think you need to pay attention to. NATO is putting more troops. They're moving troops on the Finnish border right next to Russia. Why are they moving so many troops there? This is something that we need to pay attention to. Again, we're trying to stay out of a conflict of a global war. All the while, NATO is moving more troops to the borders of Russia. Makes absolutely no sense. Also, we're trying to stay out of nuclear war with certain players too. And here we are selling more bigger technology to South Korea. Not that I don't believe they're their ally. Not that I don't want to help them. But here we are trying to stay out of war, and we're giving more information and more weaponization and more ammunition to South Korea while the provocation of war with North Korea, China, and Russia is going on. It just makes no sense. I mean, it's like we want to prod the bear. We want to light the fuse just to see which one blows up first. Now, here's another thing that I think we need to pay attention to. The after party of the DNC showed exactly what I was talking about. Palestinian rallies were going nuts as trying to break in and bust the gates again at the after party for the DNC. Again, locked up gates, locked up fencing. You couldn't get in there unless you had a badge and ID. What was so funny, though, is that it was one of those cases where all these Palestinian people that are pro-Democrat were literally trying to bust through the door and protest. Now, there's 2 problems with that. DNC pushes open policy and to speak to everybody, and they're there for the little man, while they locked up their events. And then secondly, the fact that they cannot control this pro-Palestinian movement. This pro-Palestinian movement right now, Mossad and CIA are working with Egypt trying to find a ceasefire. You know, here's the thing though. Here's the thing, when everybody blames Israel, go back and look at what the Hamas is pushing for. They're pushing for no ceasefire. They talk like that, and then they want to push Israel out of every spot in Israel that Israel already has owned for years. And they said that they're not willing to give it up. So when we talk about ceasefires and you talk about all this bad press with Israel, who is pushing this? They're trying for a ceasefire. Look, Netanyahu sent the guy to Egypt to make peace, but he was saying, I'm not going to give up territory. Why would he? Especially when Hamas and the Palestinian movement, 70% of people are standing with the fact that Hamas should still try to push back on Israel. So don't go there and say that Israel's the one that's just keeping this up. The facts are right there in front of you. And if you read the stories, the people that are pushing for pro-Palestinian rallies about free the land and all this, they're actually still supporting Hamas, which is a terror group that is wanting to funnel more rockets into Israel. Go back and read their whole plan, Hamas's plan, and that is who the Palestinians are still electing, who they still want in charge of these peace talks. So let's really pay attention to that, because I think that we are so skewed in the media that we're supposed to look at Israel as the one causing all the mischief. Let's look at what Lebanon and Hamas and Hezbollah are actually doing and what their policies are when these talks are coming, because they're not willing to push away from the table. They want to keep pushing forward. They just want to make it look like that they're the ones that are innocent. Be very careful of this. So right now we have a DNC that's finishing up that actually did not get a bump. Right now it looks like Trump is getting the bump. We could have a monster announcement from RFK that could back Trump, which would be huge, and I would put him on the campaign trail, and I would help. He would be with me everywhere I went, Trump. Honestly, Trump needs to tag along, and RFK and him need to be together. They're both going to be in Arizona today, which is kind of unique too. So I really hope that they come together and build the best, just the best coalition. I'd love seeing a coalition and a hand help on the marketing side and really work alongside JD Vance and others to really grow. Vivek, bring in a team and a coalition to go against the fact that you have someone like literally that just finished up the DNC that pushed no agenda points other than taxing you more, to then comparable to making America prosperous and great. That is a great selling point. But we have to be careful, because we still are looking for that October surprise. We're still looking for that situation that could be worse when we are seeing NATO move closer to Russia, when we see South Korea getting more weapons and ammunition from us, and then when we see the side that we're hoping to stand for ceasefire, they're still having to fight wars, because ultimately the other side, even though no one wants to talk about it, is still wanting war. We have to pay attention to what's going on. Now, we should just keep ourselves out of all these wars, no doubt. As a conservative libertarian, I think we need to be away from all of it. Should we help other people across the world? Have no problem with that. But we need to get our own house in order, our own debts in order, and our own self back on steady ground before we do anything across the world. Guys, thank you so much for watching. Pay attention to what's going on. Also, the economy is pretty sucky right now. So be careful with your money. Make sure that you're checking out people like, Land of Lands and trying to purchase some land. Here's the best thing. People talk about land all the time. They can't afford it. I'm not telling you to go buy 100 acres. I don't own 100 acres. I'm a fully sustainable farm, and yes, I own about 50, but here's the thing. I grow food in what we call permaculture zone 1 and zone 2. 4 to 5 acres, I can provide all my food. 1 acre, I can grow the biggest market garden to provide my food and anyone else's food. If I had 2 acres, I can grow enough meat and vegetables to be sustainable. Learn to co-op, learn to go in with someone. I know a family right now that just purchased a piece of land, and it's 4 families living on one land. They learned from the Amish to say, you know what, this might be wise. So think about purchasing land, think about growing your own food. We talked about yesterday's video where you're going to see shortages and more cost going up. We're going to talk in the next few days. Did you know in October that the energy prices and utility prices across Europe, they said can go up by 10 to 15%. Not counting just winter charges going up. What happens in Europe always comes to America. So we better be stockpiling and making sure we're putting up food and ways to heat ourselves and energy, because it's going to get real very, very quickly. We're still looking for the October surprise, and I hope it's not bad. I hope it's not the Black Swan event. I hope it's the Trump RFK ticket together, and they grow, build a coalition, and we see a stronger America coming forth. Guys, thank you so much for watching. Let me know your thoughts on this video and these stories. These are important stories to pay attention to. God bless.